Hey everybody, so I am back today and I'm just doing a little bit of an unboxing. I've already opened up the package, but I guess I couldn't control myself. But this was a little bit of a birthday gift, somewhat to myself. I think I mentioned to everybody in a prior video that I had a weird occurrence where I had a couple of family members give me money as an adult. And much appreciated, actually, but at the same time, not a normal thing anymore to get money at my age in a card or something like that. But I ended up putting it immediately on the Marvel Universe game, the Marvel Universe miniatures game from Night Models. And so this has just arrived. It's taken a little while. It was very, very popular. I know a lot of the deliveries were delayed because of how they didn't anticipate how many would sell. But I got 2 starter sets out of the 3 that are available, and 2 out of the extra blisters for those factions out of the 3 that are available. And I got the spray template, which is just they call it a 3-dimensional pattern template that's used in the game. So I ended up getting the Avengers starter set. Avengers starter set. I ended up getting the Black Panther. I ended up getting the X-Men starter set. And I ended up getting Deadpool. So I am going to, for the rest of this video, open up the Avengers starter set and the Black Panther mini, and in a following video I'll open up the X-Men and the Deadpool, because I'm going to show these close up, and so I don't want to do it all in one video. So I will be right back. So this is the blister you get with the Avengers starter. Inside the starter box, you get a rule book. Now, this is the Avengers version of the rule book, which means there's a scenario in the back for the Avengers. Each rule book contains an additional, that comes with the starter pack, contains an additional scenario. And also you get a card, essentially, for each mini within there as well. The rule book is essentially 32 pages, and this is the scenario in the back. And I have actually flipped through it and read most of it, and it's actually pretty well done. I mean, there are a couple of typos, but as I understand it, compared to the Batman miniature game the first time it came out, this is a much improved product, given that the company, you know, is Spanish company, and it's a translation essentially to another language. And so, you know, it's actually quite good. And one of the things I was really impressed with is that in the initial release of this game, it's a brand new game, they have quite a number of abilities. I mean, they actually have, I'd have to say, close to 30 to 40, it's around 30 abilities, I think, like special powers. But it's basically, it starts here, and as you can see, it goes down here, and then here, essentially, yeah. And then that actually doesn't even, those are just special powers. And I was just noticed, I'll talk more in depth about the game in the future when I get to absorb it more. But even just here, one of the things I was impressed with is that, like, for basic attacks, there are 4 basic types of attacks: mental, supernatural, physical, and energy. And each one of those has subdivisions within there. So, like, you know, fire, electricity, cold. It's actually really cool. Like, And then there's some that I can only speculate like what will be in the game, but like magic, holy, evil, and death, or like supernatural like powers, or I mean types of attacks, and they fall within those. I was just really impressed with that, and so I'm really interested to see. I've heard good things about this so far, so I'm very interested to see how all that goes. But on to the most important things. What this video is going to focus on is the minis, and I'm going to be doing some really close-up shots. So first up, we have Black Widow, and it's a one-piece casting, so there is no fitting that has to be done with pieces together and you know, pinning and such. So that's actually kind of cool. I'll just do some close-ups of the face. I really like the hair here, like the definition in there, the detail. Not bad, you know. I don't mind this. They did actually have another sculpt for Black Widow at 1.2. This is a new sculpt. The legs seem very long, but I think that's just perhaps the cartoon comic style that they're going for in this particular sculpt. And yeah, not bad. And so next up will be Captain America. So he actually does have a one separate piece. He has the shield is separate, and so they have actually put in the sculpting for the star and the lines to create the design of the shield. As far as, I'll show the matching up of the piece in the end. I'll focus on just the miniature first here, but I do like the texture here. There are some mold lines on this one. Seemingly a little bit more than the Black Widow one, maybe. Not too much, but a little bit. And there is some flashing in here. I should get my pointer. There is some flashing in here, which honestly not bad though. I mean, now the face, which Night models, as I've said in the past, I always love their faces. I love the detail there. Looks very good. And now for the matchup, this will have to obviously be, there's a big piece of flashing there. Now this is supposed to go in like this. Looking through the camera is kind of difficult for me here. Here we go. Sorry, got my fingers in the way. It's going to require a little bit of trimming, which would be similar to some of the other ones that I'd gotten from Night models. Yeah, that's going to require some work, but it looks like it fits better visibly than some of the other ones I've just worked on, like the Green Goblin. A little bit of flash work there, but I would say most likely a more... for a second I thought I had a hole there because of the shadow and the way the light was going on the metallic, but I don't. It's just that it looked like a big black hole in the back of the head, and I thought, how did I miss that? It looks better overall than what I've been used to recently. So that is nice. And now we have got Thor, who's the biggest model of the Avengers starter pack. Now he does have a leg here that I'll show in a moment, that needs to be fitted. Yeah. And so you can see his face. I do like the detail here. And I thought his mail on his arms looks pretty good. The face looks good. I know a number of people have had their hammers snapped from watching the forum, so I'm going to have to be careful with that. People are already fashioning hammers that, you know, the stick piece above the hand between the blocks. So I'm going to have to be really careful. There's a little bit of a mold line there. So no major casting issues as far as I'm concerned, like ones where the detail is lost. And that's kind of how I tend to judge things. I mean, yeah, like there's definitely some mold lines, some minor flashing on this one. Not as bad as the one underneath Captain America's arm. You know, like there's this here, but to be expected, I suppose. And there's a little piece of sprue that has two things on it. I'd said just the leg. There's actually, you probably notice, I'm looking at the details and missing the forest, but there's a piece of the arm missing there too. So there's two details here. There's this leg for Thor. That looks really quite good. And his arm. And you can see some of the mold line on the hand there. And a little bit of flashing. And so that's a really nice cleanly cut piece there for the leg going into that there. That looks like it might actually fit pretty good, but I won't really know until it's time. Actually, that looks like it fits pretty well. That might be one of the better fits from what I've seen so far. And last but not least, my favorite Avenger by far is Iron Man. I am a little, how should I say, I'm a little gun shy on how I'm going to get this guy to come out, because I've seen some spectacular paint jobs done for this model. But it does look like, for me, it not only would be possibly the most challenging, but also the most that I need to live up to, because he was a favorite of mine, as I've shared on the channel before as a kid. I was told, in researching this a bit, that this was the armor most likely seen in Iron Man 2. I don't know if people agree with that. I'm honestly more adept at the marks from the late 60s through mid 80s than the most recent ones. A lot of the most recent ones kind of all look the same to me, because the differences are slight. They look slighter to me than the major differences that I was used to seeing. I'm actually quite happy just looking at this at the definition, and like you look at all that detail on the head there. That all seems to be preserved. It doesn't seem to be like a ton of mold lines that I'm going to be really worried about, ruining the detail there as I'm scraping it. There's definitely a mold line there I can see, but it looks pretty good overall. Quite like it. You can see his repulsor in his palm, his repulsor ray. And that's just the that little circle is the area where it comes from. And then finally he is based on a rock there. And then finally there is this arm for him. It looks good, as far as I can tell. Alright, and so now that is finishing the 4 models that come in the starter set. Now what I'll do, sorry about that, is move this stuff aside, and I will be looking at Black Panther. Black Panther doesn't come as a single blister with a rulebook, but it does come with his own card. And so, yeah. I'm not going to go into the details of the cards today. They are kind of interesting, for sure. And so, here is the mini for Black Panther. So Black Panther, for those of you that are unfamiliar, is a long-time Marvel character. It does seem like many people are not aware of him as a character at times. Did I say a single piece? It's not a single piece. He actually has other pieces on him. He's been part of Marvel Comics for a long time. And he will be featured in the latest Captain America Civil War movie as well. Now there is a very predictable mold line going up the side. I don't mind that so much because I know where it is. I really like the muscular detail on this model because he's sort of a one-dimensional color for the most part, and he's in like a bodysuit. But if you look at that, the sculpting of the musculature really looks good, in my opinion. And he has, he's sort of spreading his arms out, but these are his arms. They're sort of sticking out from his body. Now, when they first showed the minis, there were a number of people on some internet forums that didn't like this sculpt, and I think they felt that because it wasn't textured, like sometimes if you look at, let's say, Mystique in the X-Men movie, she has like a textured pattern, even though it's like a one-piece suit or whatever. I think that's her skin actually in the movie, but they felt that there was some costumes he wore that were textured, that they just didn't like it. I actually really disagree. I actually think they did a really good job on this sculpt, and I love the musculature, like I mentioned. I thought, and I think some people, because he's just standing, I'll show you the finished product here. Because he's standing there, kind of moving his arms out, just standing there, I think a lot of people dislike that, and I don't know, I'm actually quite happy with it. I mean, I can see where some people, their point of view, where it'd be nice to be like crouching with some characters and stuff, because the other character they had, Nova, for the Galactic Guardians in a blister, his legs aren't spread out like that. He's kind of walking forward a bit, but he's sort of in an upright posture too. And so I think folks didn't like that, but yeah, I actually quite like this one. I'd have to say, out of the Avengers that I just showed you, probably my least favorite would be Black Widow. And I don't know how much of that is just the fact that I also just like those other characters so much. But no, I would say that this one I quite like. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. I will come back with another video on the X-Men and do a very similar unboxing of them. Take care.